Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back here with Dr. Michael Ryce. So excited to have him here and really helping you and so many people out there figuring out why they're here. Why is it happening again? Like his book and so much more. He's here shifting people's minds worldwide with the work he does, and want to welcome him back to the show today because whyagain.org. Check out the website. We're going to talk more about all these body mind principles that he uses, his techniques, his worksheets, and a workbook we're going to discuss today, and so much more. So first and foremost, without any further ado, please introduce yourself to everyone today.
Well, there's not much to introduce. The last 43 or 44 years, I've been working on decoding the first century Aramaic idea of forgiveness, which is the opposite of what our culture teaches, as we discussed in our last show. And that's what led us to step in and show how the forgiveness process is done. It's totally and completely outrageous and backward when people first look at it. And the reason for that is because our minds have got things outrageously backward when we're in a conversation about how somebody else made something happen inside of us. And so we can just let that unfold as it goes. And I'm ready to rock and roll if you are.
Beautiful. Me too. What do you have for us today?
Okay. Let's share a screen and let's go for it.
Perfect. So today you're going to be sharing your screen and we're going to find out more about your program. Go ahead.
This is it. Are we showing up there?
No,
I can't
you're
see
not. Nope, it's not up there yet.
Okay, well, that's what's on my screen.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be share screen. You're set up on my end to share for sure. You clicked actually share screen.
Oh, okay, I think that was my mistake. There we go.
We'll figure it out together. Don't worry. It'll pop up.
That's it. Now we've got it.
There we are. Perfect.
I can see us all.
Reality management worksheet. Let's talk a little about this. Hear My Voice Book Club. Go ahead.
So one of the things we've been doing for, better than a year now is there's a group out of London, England called Hear My Voice Book Club. And we've been working with the forgiveness process with this group that has people from all over the world. And so this is a PowerPoint presentation that was created by the woman who runs the book club. And so what we'll go through, the picture on the left-hand side of the screen right now is a copy of, and it looks kind of complicated, but it's really pretty simple, of how do you get a mind that believes that all of its problems are outside of it, to recognize that the only thing that can cause a person to feel is what's going on inside of them, and how to clean up the mind so that we can free ourselves from the why is this happening to me again experience. And I feel very blessed that the universe reserved that title for me. It's such an obvious one. And virtually everybody that you ask the question, hey, have you ever said to yourself, why is this happening to me again? It's like, duh. Yeah, of course. And so why is that? And I think the greatest atrocity done to us as human beings down through the ages is that we've had hidden from us the fact that we are by nature creators.
Okay.
Now, everybody loves the idea that we're creators.
Yeah.
When the creation is going well. But when the creation is not going so well, don't they know who's to blame? And it's interesting because the name of who's to blame in every case with virtually every person on the planet is always them. It's always somebody else. And so what we're looking to do is to recognize that the constructs of the mind that we call perception are unique and individual. And when we're in pain, it's because there's something inside of us that's causing our pain. What Bill said didn't hurt me. I mean, you'll hear 1,000 people say, yeah, when he said that, that really hurt me. No, it didn't. But you have hurt in you, and it showed you you're hurt. If you can shift out of believing that your hurt is about Bill and recognize that it's about you, then you can remove your hurt. You can get out of the why is this happening to me again experience. Otherwise, people are stuck in that experience all the time. So this is just an overview of the worksheet. And then at the end, there'll be a place where if people want, there's a link that they can download it. There's actually a 2-hour workshop where I walk people through step by step the whole worksheet. We're going to do it only in an abbreviated version rather than a live sample. Since we've only got 30 minutes, we'll just walk through the steps of it so it introduces people. And then there'll be several links at the end of the presentation that will give people more resources if they want to move forward with it.
Beautiful. I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
reading that. Oh my goodness, reality. Well, you'll get to it.
Well, interesting.
Some technical difficulty always happens.
Well, it's not allowing me to switch through the PowerPoint presentation from my
You're
screen.
sharing it, really?
Yeah. Strange. I mean, oh, there it is. Yeah, let me switch.
Yeah,
So the first step
go
is,
for it.
you'll notice that everybody's in upset with Bill are always holding their breath. When people are in pain, one of the ways they stop the movement of energy within themselves is by holding the breath. So as this slide says, holding your breath is how you acquire a past about something.
Okay.
And whatever it is that you hold your breath around, you're going to carry around with you for the rest of your life until you restore breath to that part of your structure where that information is stored and allow it to release.
Okay.
So holding the breath attaches the pain of an experience to a reality in the mind. And when you remember to breathe, things change.
Okay.
So in this work, we define reality as the output of the mind. You know, you and I essentially are experiencing the same thing on our screens. But I guarantee, even just a couple of minutes we've been together, if I said, Jill, what do you take from what you've seen on the screen in the last 2 minutes? I guarantee that your take would be different than mine, because your mind was outputting a different reality than mine.
True.
We've got one actuality. You know, if you've ever been in a courtroom where 6 people testify about an accident, you wonder if any 2 of them were at the same accident. Their descriptions are so different. Because reality is the output of the mind. And so this worksheet is about managing the realities in your mind, recognizing that my reality is the perceptual output that is literally constructed by my mind. And this wake up sheet is a chance to change your mind, which of course changes your life. It's literally the how-to of first century Aramaic forgiveness. And so forgiveness, as opposed to letting other people off the hook for what's happening inside of me, is a tool with which I access and change what's happening inside of me. One of the things, the first step in the worksheet is, and that's my book on the right-hand side, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? It's out of print, so I can't sell it to anybody, but you can usually go to Amazon or eBay, and there are always copies hanging around there. Or you can go to our website. The link is at the end of the presentation, and you can download the book free in any one of, I think we're up to 14 languages right now.
Awesome.
So what we're looking to do is to restore people to the awareness of who they are. You know, I think we talked about this in the last session we did. If you've ever held a newborn and you tap into the essence of that newborn, it's really clear what that newborn energy is, and it is the presence of love. And the newborn isn't loving us, but the newborn is. The truth of us is that we are love. And so the starting point of every worksheet, we invite people to remind themselves, my essential nature, my human life, my very being is love. And I usually suggest to anyone, if you ever forget that, just go back and hold a newborn again. So the goal of this internal forgiveness wake-up sheet is to empower me to remove fear and or hostility and return me to the direct experience of love 24/7, 365. To get back to the truth of who we are. And so number 1A is where you put your name in and proclaim the truth of yourself. I, Michael, who am loved, am experiencing. And then in 1B, what are your emotions? So let's say somebody says, oh, you know, when he didn't pay me my money back, that really made me angry. So let's take Bill, and Bill didn't pay me my money. So now I'm saying Bill made me angry. So 1B, we're going to simply identify the emotional state. And if, let's say, it's angry and afraid and sad, they would actually be 3 different worksheets. Each emotion
Okay.
reflects a different thought disorder in the mind. And it's our thought disorders that distort the perceptual output of the mind. So the reminder's there to breathe. So we're going to do a worksheet on anger, and we invite people to date it and put the sheet number. I actually just got a picture from a gentleman, a therapist, who started doing these worksheets about 10 weeks ago, and he sent me a picture of a stack of 700 worksheets he'd completed. So just date them. And then, what's your emotional upset level around this? Well, gee, Bill owed me $10,000. I'm at a 10. So what's your emotional upset level? And oftentimes the real root of our emotional disturbance is pre-verbal. So it's kind of hard to put it into words sometimes. So we suggest, and there's just a little box on the worksheet, to just do a line drawing of whatever your emotional state is. So it might be an angry face. And of course, the reminder there is once again to breathe and recognize that if I'm in pain, as opposed to something out there as the cause of my pain, my thinking is off base. It's about me. Most people, when they have a situation that brings upset up in them, walk away from the situation thinking about that other person that's involved in the upset. Rarely do they stop and go, well, here I am. I'm upset again. I've been upset this way so many times. Maybe I should do something about it. Not many people go into that conversation.
No.
They go away talking about Bill, and they tell Mary, and they tell Harry, and they'll tell Hortense about Bill, and rarely ever looking inside themselves. The idea of this worksheet is to guide you inside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember in the session we did last week, denial is the act of thinking or speaking as though something outside of me is the cause of what's happening inside of me. So what we're offering here is that when I go into denial, my mind displaces the experience of myself as love and then tell me that my emotions are caused by Bill, by my trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1C, who are you focused on? Well, that's Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And my perception, my story is that Bill didn't pay me the $10,000 he owed me. And so it's just a simple fill in the blanks type of thing. And then we invite people, and of course, there's a whole background to this. We're going through this pretty quickly. I normally do the full workshop that lays out this worksheet in about a 3 to 4 hour time frame. And again, at the end of this presentation, there's a link. People can go and listen to that presentation free. It's on our YouTube channel. And it lays out all of the refinements that would go along with this if we had 3 hours to present it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we'll do in the future. Who knows? So we do a little thought experiment, and we ask people to just get quiet, go inside, and allow themselves, and we'll just ask everybody in our audience for a moment to just let yourself feel anger.
Okay.
And then take a breath, soften, let go of the anger, and let yourself feel fear. Take a breath, let go of the fear, and let yourself feel sadness. Now, if you just let go of the sadness, take a breath, and just let yourself tap into that newborn essence again. Think about holding that baby like you did last week. Tap into that and let those energies be displaced. What did you have to do to go from anger to fear to sadness? What happened inside of you? To notice what, were you able to go to anger, then move to sadness, move to fear, then move back to love?
Me personally, yes, not easy,
Yeah.
but I'm doing it. And I hope
Okay.
our listeners and viewers are too, right?
Okay, right. So
Yeah.
what did you do to move from one emotional state to another to another?
I did. I
You changed
thought,
your thoughts,
breathe.
right?
My thought would change, and then I breathe. Thought, breathe. Probably thought, breathe. I think that was the process. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So notice the whole
Okay.
world tells us that something out there causes our feelings,
Yeah.
but what really causes our feelings is our own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
If I have thoughts in me that cause pain, literally on an energetic level, that energy in this quantum soup that we live in quantum physics tells us that energy literally sets up a resonating energy field
Okay.
that radiates out from me. And with those energy fields, I attract the experiences that I hold within me. If there's lots and lots of fear and sadness, you might remember old Job way back there in the Old Testament. He said, that which I feared most has come upon me. So emotions are
Mm-hmm.
caused by my thoughts,
Okay.
not by the events that happen in my world. What if I were to get rid of every thought that could possibly cause me to be angry, and all the people in my life that in the past I thought made me angry showed up? Would I be able to be angry with them? No.
No.
I'd be
Yeah.
connected. Now, they maybe did something terrible, awful, nasty, and I might choose to hold them accountable, but I don't have to be in a state of anger.
Yeah.
And anger, it turns out, most people think anger is an emotion. Anger is actually a drug.
Hmm.
It's actually an internally produced anesthetic. And underneath all anger, there's pain.
Okay.
Any addiction, people get addicted to anger, people get addicted to alcohol. And the reason is because something inside is causing pain and they want to anesthetize their pain. And one of the things you'll notice if you watch carefully, especially around people who do a lot of drinking, is that when their anger isn't enough to anesthetize their pain, that's when they'll turn to alcohol.
Ooh.
Especially the person who says, okay, I'm quitting. I'm not going to have alcohol anymore. What happens? Something happens in the culture we say that drove them to drink. You know what
Yeah.
drove them to drink? Something resonated thoughts that were rooted in pain. And they wanted an anesthetic. When you get rid of the pain, I've watched it over and over and over again over the last half century and working with people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about dyed in the wool alcoholics that all of a sudden one day just
Wow.
go, no more, because they've addressed the pain. I actually remember working with one woman in South Florida back 25 years ago. She and her husband was a businessman and she was a stay-at-home wife, and he'd be home late in the evening and had to have dinner, and they'd have 2 or 3 drinks before dinner. They'd have a bottle of wine and they'd have two or three
Yeah.
drinks after dinner. They weren't alcoholics, but she decided to stop drinking after doing this work for some time period.
Wow.
And it was a period of about 5 years later. And she shared with me that she'd gone to a party and somebody offered her a drink of hard liquor. And it's like, yeah, I will. She took it. And because she had done the work of cleaning out the pain that she normally used alcohol to anesthetize,
Wow.
she said that alcohol no more than got past my lips and it felt like razor blades in my kidneys. You get to feel the physiological effects of that poison
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the relief that comes. If you
Yeah.
take 2 molecules of alcohol and take the wire out, you've got ether. You can saw bones with that. It's an anesthetic. Well, hostility is the same. So then what I want to look at is what's the thought, in this situation where Bill didn't pay me my money, what's the thought that I used to cause that anger? Now, there could be any number of thoughts. It could be
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to be broke for life. It could be I won't be able to pay my bills and I'll lose my car. It could be that I'm a failure. There may be a wide variety of different thoughts that
Mm-hmm.
go behind any particular emotional condition. So let's say, and another thought might be that people always take advantage of me. So let's use that one.
Okay.
So the thought that this person that's doing this worksheet is that people always take advantage of me. So
Okay.
I'm angry. And so as somebody thinks that thought, we're going to invite them to breathe.
Yeah.
And just the act of breathing there starts to alleviate the pressure of those old emotional energies. And then in number 1E, what's your punishment? What do you want to do to Bill? Well, I want to punch him in the face. Or, well, I don't want to punish him. I just don't ever want to talk to him again. A lot of people think that, I just don't want to talk to them again is not punishment. But actually, one of the worst and most dramatic punishments people can do is to isolate another.
Mm-hmm.
So identify your punishment toward whoever the worksheet is being done on, the person you named in number 1C, or is there any punishment towards self? And maybe the punishment towards self in this situation would be, a thought disorder like, it's really stupid of me to lend that money to him and I deserve to lose my money.
Yeah.
So once again, just by writing that down, paying attention inside and breathing, it starts to loosen those energetic patterns up. And this is where you start to move into the forgiveness process.
Amazing. And by the way,
Step
let's remind everyone how we contact you.
Oh, well, my website is www.whyagain.org. And we've got a 20,000 page website. You can spend all kinds of time. We've got everything we've learned about forgiveness is all there, free and available. You can also 5 days a week from 1 till 2 o'clock call into my radio show. It's called Mind Shifters Radio. It's an internet show, and most people having free long distance just call the show and listen on the show
Mm-hmm.
from 1 to 2 o'clock Eastern time. And the call in number is 563-999-3581. Call that number from 1 till 2 o'clock. You're listening to my radio show. If you have a question, gee, Michael, that step number 2 didn't make sense to me, then we'll be having a conversation on the show. We can do that
Yeah.
tomorrow or the next day, Monday through
Okay.
Friday.
Oh my gosh. All right,
And we've
great.
got better than 4,500 hours in our archives of shows. We've been doing that show 5 days a week for 12 years.
All right,
So now
awesome.
it's to step into a place where I'm starting to suspect that maybe I'm involved in my life and it isn't everybody else's fault. So now in step 2, there's an idea of stepping into willingness. Well, okay, I'm willing to process all disease energies as I go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing.
Yeah.
When you think of this human energy system as an energy system, we quoted Einstein, in our last show saying there's no such thing as matter. What we call matter is this energy system, and relative to it, there are energies that build it up and strengthen it, energies that weaken it and tear it down. When the energy comes into this field, it expresses symptomatically. Most people reach for their caffeine or their sugar or their nicotine or
Mm-hmm.
their alcohol or their junk food or their rage to anesthetize
Yeah.
and shut that pain down. What we're inviting people to do is to reverse that process and
Okay.
start to allow that, take the lid off. In the ancient teachings, they said the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. That wasn't a purple curtain in a church. This is the temple. And the
Yeah.
veil is the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious mind. You got to open that and let those things that have been hidden come forward. And when they come forward, the healing process, one of the reasons real healing isn't very popular is the healing process is identical to the disease process. Whatever went in has to
Interesting.
come out. And on the way back out, symptomatically, it's identical. So I'm willing to go through all disease as I go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. On a physical level, healing looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had in low energy. On a
Mm-hmm.
mental level, looks like any kind of negative thought and confusion. On an emotional level, looks like any kind of negative feeling and depression. That's what healing looks like. And that's why you want to keep breathing. You want to let the drugs alone and drink clean water and engage in things that support life. Have real food rather than junk from a box or a fast food store. So willingness is a big key. And then you'll notice that, unless someone's just a generally miserable person, pretty happy with most everybody around them as long as everybody's fulfilling the goals they have for them.
Yeah.
But you'll notice when somebody refuses to fulfill a goal you have for them, that's when you go into upset.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because goals drive perception. And we talked last week about the Harvard research that says in a time frame where there are 10,000 measurable units of electricity happening in the brain, you're hooked up to electrodes, they're
Yeah.
measuring brain cell firings. The max amount of data that goes into conscious awareness is 9 bits, little tiny bit. Something obviously must determine which 9 bits of data your mind is going to use to
Yeah.
produce your perception.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that is your goals. The goal is the driver for whatever data your mind is going to use to build literally the perceptual constructs it's going to show you. So the goal you load, if it accesses pain, then you're going to want to do something different with that goal. And that's the key way into forgiveness.
Oh.
Surprisingly enough, it looks backward, but hopefully we'll get to explain it clearly enough that everybody will get it by the time we're finished. So my desire, the constructive result, I want to look at exactly what it is that I want from whoever I'm doing this worksheet on. So Bill, who didn't pay me my $10,000, what do I want?
Yeah.
Well, there are several shades to goals, and the closer we are to the exact goal, the more powerful the process will be. Of course, the easy and obvious goal might be that I want Bill to give me my 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, it might be a more a more subtle goal. The goal might be, I want Bill to keep his word to me.
Okay.
This might be an issue for me about people not keeping their word.
True.
Or I want Bill to honor me. Now, those three different goals are three totally different situations that are going to give access to different parts of the mind.
Yeah.
So let's say in this case, I wanted my trigger, Bill, to honor me by keeping his word to me. So that would be the answer for number 3A. And then 3B, so that I can. So if Bill does that, what's that do for me? He honors me. Oh, then I can hold a high level of self-respect. Probably way back when I was about this high, I had a power person that gave me a message that I didn't deserve self-respect. And so a lot of my life might be around trying to earn or gain that self-respect through the behaviors that others do that show me that I'm worthy of it. These are kind of the subtleties that we can get into that need to be healed. So in this case, it might be, I want Bill to honor me and pay me the money so that I can feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And the choices I've made. So there could be a lot of variations on a theme, and I'm just giving some of the options to show what variables go into a worksheet process.
Awesome.
And then the next step, in order to heal, I really need to tap into the deepest hidden parts of my own mind. And to do that, I'm going to want to bring forward active present love.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, I'm going to take a moment, close my eyes, take a breath, and tap into love. Tap into that presence of love in me and recognize that when I do that, because of resonance, because of the energy dynamics of life, I will tend to bring that about in the people around me. So I choose to tap in. I could be in my pained, traumatized self, or in this situation, I could choose to tap into love. If in my pain, traumatized self, I tend to stay, then other people around me are going to tend to lock into their pain and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
If I start to make a habit of connecting to love on a deeper level, then the people around me are going to tend to do the same. And again, as I breathe, I'll tend to undo the old dynamics in the mind.
Beautiful. And I apologize. We're just about out of time. I got to look for a place we can take a breath. I'm
Okay.
sorry. We have a minute left in the show.
Oh, my goodness. This has been a fast 30 minutes.
I
Well,
know. Yeah, we're up to 28 something.
okay. Well, then maybe what we'll do is we'll just, so it'll be there on the video, is just slide
Perfect.
through the other slides and people can
Perfect.
read them and follow through with it. So here's the core of forgiveness, the action step. If they're the one with the problem, why am I the one with the pain? I'm going to invite, there's a power in me. I'm going to invite to restore me to my essence, love, and to clean up my mind. And the core of forgiveness has to do with canceling goals, which collapses the perceptions. And again, there's a link at the end of this presentation that will show that that they can access that whole workshop. Document how you're feeling. Tap into a new goal, one based in love, to aim toward that other person. Breathe, be love, cleanse, and breathe in lots of oxygen. There's a device that we carry called an Avison device that is a physical form of forgiveness. If people want to get information about that, they can go to that link and just breathe and tap into the presence of love.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Appreciation
much.
to
And
Yenka.
go to again to whyagain.org. You can start there. Thank you so much. I'm sorry we're out of time. Thank you for your time once again. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.